Welcome, everyone from all ends of the earth, to the SML Sidelines podcast, brought to you by Sports Management Laurier. Today, you are joined by myself, Zach Ajazi, and my fellow friend,
Spencer Mellon.
Unfortunately, we're missing our team mom and moderator, Haley McGoldrick, so this podcast may get a little out of hand, may see some Skip versus Shannon sort of deal occurring, but that's okay, you know. We're just going to see how it goes. Yeah, like I said, Haley's not here, so it's going to be a lot of basketball talk. There's going to be a lot less baseball talk. Going to be minimal football talk. Then we'll jump into some hockey as well. So if that tickles your fancy, we hope you stick around. So to start, let's talk some ball.
Yeah, so we have a few interesting stories to cover before we hit up our discussion of the power rankings, which we want to do. So Westbrook versus the Fan was a pretty huge story about a week and a half ago. So Russell Westbrook confronted a Utah fan when they were playing the Jazz in Utah a week ago. Westbrook claimed the fan made some pretty horrible remarks to him from the sidelines, and then when he responded, initially people kind of took it out of took it out on Russell, said he was being unreasonable, and then when the fan initially said his what he actually said in quotation marks, people sort of assumed like Westbrook was definitely overreacting, but then they located this dude's Twitter account online, found out he had a pretty sketchy past about making comments about Westbrook and just like very bad racial comments in general, which led a lot of people to believe that maybe Westbrook was telling the truth about this whole incident, and this fan earned a lifetime ban, which I think was pretty deserved, to be honest, given the nature of the comments.
Utah is trash.
Yeah,
Utah as a whole is just trash.
Yeah, they're a very white city. A lot of racial history there.
Yeah.
Just like they're already like the fans in general are just very like. They're very like harsh in general, and then
the thing is also like when it came out and like when everyone was like kind of freaking out on Russ, like on what he had done, like you got to think about it. Like, okay, so first of all, Russell Westbrook is a top 10 player in the league.
I agree.
He's amazing, right? He's a household name.
He's an all-time great.
Yeah, and so that means that fans of other teams are going to be chirping him constantly.
Absolutely.
Like constantly, consistently. Every game he probably gets it. Because God knows the ushers do such a shit job at these arenas. And so when you see someone like Russell, who's usually calm, cool, and collected, just, I wouldn't say usually, like he has his moments, but like
dealing with the fans.
With fans, he's usually pretty tame.
Oh,
actually go off like that. That's when I thought like, okay, like this, something had to have happened, right?
Yeah.
And this piece of shit Utah fan saying get down on your knees where you belong or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I think it was like you used to something.
Like fuck you, man.
Like everybody knows what that means. Like don't try to pretend like, oh, I said ice your knees.
Yeah,
like,
nobody.
No, you didn't. Nobody would get mad about that. That's such a terrible insult.
Like the amount of things that Russell Westbrook has probably heard, especially being like one of the more like magnetic to drama type of players, like with all this shit with like Kevin Durant and like all that history, like he's definitely heard some shit and had some shit yelled at,
absolutely.
Right? So something, as soon as that was my thought process, as soon as I saw it, I was like, hey, this guy had to have fucked up. Like there's no way it was something that innocent. And then as soon as you saw that interview too, I could just tell this guy was stumbling.
Like this guy's like stumbling over his words, and then when he said, he's like, oh, I actually said this, like I knew it was like fake as soon as I saw that interview. I'm like, come on, man, like why are you even giving this time, like the time of day? Just get him out of here. Like,
exactly.
Well, I don't even know why they brought attention to this tool.
And then he brings up his wife too. It's like, it's her first game. She wasn't doing anything. Welcome to the NBA, Linda. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know. And then, and then Westbrook made in the interview after the game, he's like, yeah, I would never, like, he touched on the fact, like, he never has been involved in domestic violence, because he did say to the
he's
fans.
Like, I'll fuck your wife up.
Yeah, he's like, I was just heated in the moment because him and his wife were making these comments towards me. So clearly, like, the wife wasn't, I can't imagine she was saying nothing. in the event she might not have said the same things as her husband, but she probably wasn't helping to diffuse the situation if Russ decided to make those comments as well. I can't imagine, right? He's never had an incident.
Unless the only thing that I could think of is like the guy, as Russ was yelling at this guy, he like pointed at his wife and was like, "You're scaring her," and then Russ like, "I don't give a fuck, I'll fuck her up too." Like, that's the only way that I could think about it. And like, obviously we didn't really get that much information on the wife. I don't know if she said anything, and like, it's not really an assumption you can make. But like,
no.
Also, Russ wasn't wrong though. I bet you Russ would fuck that guy and his wife up very easily.
I personally, in the whole incident, I don't think Westbrook was in the wrong at all. I think he might have been able to handle it better, but you can't expect somebody to handle it better when their emotions are at a high. They're at the peak of like their adrenaline's running. They're competing against other teams. You can't expect them to just have a calm and collected response. Like
What was the game situation at? Like, were they losing? I don't remember that. I wasn't watching the game.
I think it was in the second half of the game, and the Thunder ended up winning that game, I believe.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. It was 98-89 overall, but I think it was in the third quarter, which the Thunder were still leading at that point.
98-89 is still like a close game.
Yeah, like that's absolutely a close game.
That's like a defensive game too. Like both teams sub 100.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, no. Good for Russ. I'm all for instilling fear in some shit talking fans. If you can dish it out, you got to be able to take it, right? And that's my thought process there. I'm 100% backing Russ there.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't back Russ with everything he does, but that one I will gladly.
Yeah.
We had a bit of another altercation occur in the NBA.
Yeah, our boy Serge Ibaka decided to throw hands with Marquise Chris. Got suspended for 3 games. Chris got suspended for 1 game. It was a pretty poor game for the Raptors, just in terms of they clearly, at this point they're just like they just really want the playoffs to start. Like it's just like you can just tell like they see some of these games and they're like, why should we even be playing these fools, right? They kind of let an easy game go against the Cavs, but in the grand scheme of things it doesn't really matter. But you could tell they're frustrated that they're losing, and then Ibaka obviously kind of got hooked by Chris and sort of tripped up at the end, and I think Chris might have made a comment to him which sort of set him off, which I think his reaction was overboard, to say the least. I'd rather it happen now than in the playoffs, for example, that he gets suspended for 3 games, but he's only up for 1 more game after tonight.
It's kind of a blessing in disguise, too, because the way that I see it is, first of all, we got to rest Serge Ibaka because he's going to be a very, very key asset in the playoffs. The second thing, like you said, they don't really need to be playing these games. Like as much as they should be playing these games hard.
Yeah.
Like they've kind of solidified the 2 spot.
They're locked into the 2 seed. That's not going to change.
That's not changing at all. The only thing that could change is who they face, but it'll still be someone relatively easy. It'll be either the Pistons, the Heat, or the Nets.
They're going to be playing.
I feel like it's going to be the Nets
as of right now, and I like that matchup. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I like any of their matchups. I
don't like them against Detroit.
Yeah,
Detroit's had their number this year.
Yeah, but I mean, in 2 of those games, they were missing either Kyle Lowry or Kawhi Leonard, and then the first game was they lost it on a bad. Kawhi dribbled it off of his foot, and then unfortunately they got the buzzer beater to win. So see, I'm really as much as everyone loves the narrative, Detroit swept them in the regular season. Dwayne Casey's always been an excellent regular season coach. I think we all know that for a fact.
We've experienced that.
His teams always play really hard. They're always solid on the defensive end, and where this teams fall apart is in the postseason. Is when they can actually, people have games to structure and prepare for their go-to guys, right? And then the late game decision making has not always been very good or ideal or creative, I'd say, on Dwayne Casey teams. So I'm really, to be honest, not worried about any of the Raptors' potential first-round matchups. I think when the team starts actually trying at 100% again, and everyone's healthy, I really don't see anyone stopping them in maybe more than 5 games in the first round.
The other hilarious thing about this Serge thing, bringing it back there, is that he was suspended for games against the Lakers, the Pistons, and the Knicks.
Yeah,
I'm not
games.
too concerned. Now, if we lose to the Knicks tonight, that'll be a bit of a concern.
That's gonna be annoying, but at the same time, do I chalk it up to the team's struggling, or the team's struggling to find a reason
Motivation.
to give a crap right now?
Now, the one thing that should and could light a fire under their ass is the fact that they're only 3 games back from Milwaukee right now.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't know if they want to take the 1 seed from Milwaukee. I think they like
against
it.
Miami.
I think they like Miami, but do you think they want to play the winner of the Pacers Boston in the second round, or do you think they'd rather take the 76ers, for example? I'd
much rather take one of Pacers Boston than the Sixers.
I'd like the Pacers, but I like the 76ers over Boston just because of how dominant Kawhi Leonard's been over Ben Simmons this year. And even though we sadly don't have our boy Jonas Valanciunas anymore, aside from the one game where
Pau Gasol can stop
Mark can stop him.
Did I say Pau Gasol?
You did say Pau. He's on Milwaukee.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Yeah,
aside
from the game where
yesterday was St. Patty's, so I'm not 100% here. I can't believe I just said Pau Gasol.
It's all good.
I got the last name right.
Yeah, you did. You got the Gasol. There's
and
two Gasols.
I think Pau Gasol could stop Embiid too.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Pau Gasol's trash.
No, he's old. No,
he's an old fart.
Yeah, aside from the one game, Toronto had to start Greg Monroe at center and was missing Kawhi Leonard. The Raptors have pretty handily beat the 76ers in all of the other 3 games. I know they have Tobias Harris now, but I still can't bring myself to worry about them with Ben Simmons having a non-existent shot. So teams literally won't even guard him. No one is going to guard him if he's not within 5 feet of the net.
Because he doesn't take the shot.
Everyone
knows he doesn't take them.
He's not going to take them.
I think he averages some stupid 4 shot attempts per game.
Yeah,
he takes 0 shots.
He doesn't take any shots. It doesn't seem like he really has a shooting hand that he likes to shoot with. When he gets to the line,
I'm sure he likes to shoot, but he's just bad at
it. Every few games it seems like it's he's shooting with his right hand now, and I'm like, what does this guy even do? And
just trying different things.
The one thing, he scores extremely well in the paint, but the problem is with Ben Simmons is if you foul him, he gets to the line and he can't make the free throws. He's shooting, I think, under 60% on the year.
I believe it.
It's so he's on. I think with Kawhi Leonard on him,
smaller Shaq.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think
literally
a better comparison would be Magic Johnson for him. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson couldn't shoot either. He was just a crazy he ran the floor like nobody else in history.
He used to get on his horse and just...
Well, yeah, he sprint, and he had absolutely insane court vision, which Ben Simmons does have.
That's the insane thing about Ben Simmons too, is that he... one of the most key components to being a good basketball player is being able to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
And he's trash at it.
Yeah.
And he's still a household name all-star.
He's still an excellent player.
Right? That's...
No, he's a fantastic young player, and I hope he develops a jump shot just after the Raptors win the championship this year.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, I think the Raptors, man, I think they shouldn't even be considering who am I going to face in the second round if I take the 1 seed? If you have a chance to be the division champs, you should really light a fire under your ass and go for it.
Yeah, I think the Raptors are more concerned about being a cohesive unit, and they're more concerned about being healthy for the playoffs. Because think about last year. They won the division, they set the record for wins, and they went for win number 60. They lost Van Vliet last game of the season. And think about how much of
a big loss.
He was a key component
82.
of their bench mob. He literally ran the bench mob, and then he was out for the first 5 games of the series against the Wizards. And then he didn't look the same for the rest of the playoffs.
He rushed back for sure.
No.
Speaking of Van Vliet, do we know when he's...
He played last night.
He did?
4 or 5 from 3, 17 points. I think he had almost 10 assists.
He
had a big game last night.
I was unfortunately not available to watch the game last night.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. Unfortunately, they lost. But, again, I don't think the team's really trying too hard right now.
Yeah, and also the Pistons have their number.
Yeah, I see. I think if that were to go to the playoffs, I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And the other thing is, we're 3 games back of the Bucks, but it's the Bucks, right? Like,
Yeah,
can't really expect them to start going on a skid anytime soon.
absolutely.
Especially considering that they have a decent schedule coming up. But what I want to touch on now, going back to the Bucks, is the game last night.
Yeah,
The absolute
76ers.
shootout between the Bucks and the 76ers. So we said it was what? Giannis dropped 52 points and 16 assists?
16 rebounds.
16 rebounds.
Yeah.
And Joel Embiid dropped 40 points and 15 rebounds.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, two of the best talents in the league right now.
Yeah, that is insane. I wasn't able to watch it, but I watched the highlights, and it was just one of those games that like gets you so juiced for the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I love watching NBA playoff games, even when it's not the Raptors playing. I just love watching all the teams. There's so many stars in the league that I just love watching play.
I just love watching. Honestly, just love watching the good basketball teams go at each other. Like if I'm at home and like the Warriors are facing the Rockets, I'm like 100% turning that on. That's a shootout. That's like the like so entertaining.
Oh.
Any of the top 5 from the East to the West facing each other.
That's always
any sort
a
of
good
matchup
game.
between those two, those 10 teams is always going to be an amazing game.
Absolutely.
That's why I would argue playoff basketball is the best playoff.
I agree. Well, there's just so many transcendent stars that, like, basketball is a team game by all means, but, like, there are some times where a star can, like, change the outcome of a game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we saw James Harden historically carry the Rockets through what probably could have been their absolute downfall this season when everyone was hurt and it seemed like nobody was scoring except him. He carried them to now, I think, what are the Rockets, like the 3rd seed now in the West?
Rockets are 2, I believe.
They're 2.
Oh, no. Are they 2 or 3? Let me check.
3rd in the West.
Oh, yeah, behind Denver.
So they started out the year hilariously bad.
Yeah, they've been doing really well, except they did just lose to the Warriors.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that was a 2-point loss, I think, and they almost completed the comeback. So, like, I don't think that's a bad loss by any means.
But that's one of those games, man. That's one of those games
you want to win it.
You watch it and you're just like, this is incredible.
Oh, it's absolutely
right?
phenomenal.
It's just an absolute shootout. The Rocks have been incredible, too.
Yeah.
Like, I think, so someone said it, let me get your opinion on this, because I was listening to the Ringer podcast.
Yeah.
And they were talking about this. So the Rocks have been amazing, and I think it has a lot to do with Chris Paul. Like, as great as James Harden is and Clint Capella is, like, Chris Paul has kind of been, like, the engine, in my opinion.
I think Chris Paul is their best defensive player. Because he's just always, like, how many times, I think 9-time all-defense?
Yeah.
Like, he's always been a great player defensively, and I think he really, like, sets the tone for the game of keeps the guys accountable, makes sure everyone sort of knows their coverages. He's a great distributor, one of the all-time passing greats. He's top 10 in assists. He's probably going to keep moving up the list. I think he's actually, like, 9th right now. Yeah. And I think by the end of his career, he might even be top 5. He can still score a ton.
Yeah, he's against the Warriors. He dropped 24. He didn't play against the Suns, and then against the Timberwolves, he dropped 25.
Yeah, I think he had like 5 or 6 threes too last that
yeah, he
game
went 6 for 7 against the Wolves.
Yeah, that's just
6 for 7 against the Wolves. That's insane. But my question is, does he keep this up?
See, I think if he stays healthy, yes. See, I
think
if Chris
he's
Paul
not young.
No, but I think Chris Paul healthy last year, Western Conference Finals. I think Rockets go to the finals.
Yeah,
without question.
Easily.
Chris Paul is just like
that was the worst loss for them.
That was hard to watch, man. Like when he went down in Game 5 with that hamstring.
Yeah,
that was hard.
Worst. The shitty thing about that too is that like I remember watching the conference finals there, and I was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was, but we were saying like how fresh it would be if there was like a Rockets Celtics final. Yeah,
well, that was the chance to be like 2 brand new teams in the finals, and then,
or even just one of the 2.
Yeah,
and
like,
then
if it was Celtics Warriors or Cavs Rockets, like that would have been great.
Amazing. I would have been so happy, and it would have been amazing basketball too. Sorry, I'm like kicking your bag.
Yeah, that's all good.
Didn't even realize. But yeah, so I think that's my only concern with the Rockets right now is if Chris Paul can keep it up. Because if Chris Paul can keep it up, I foresee them going to the championships. I could see him being a championship team.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not worried about his conditioning or his ability to keep up his play. I'm only worried about his ability to stay healthy, which I think they're trying to manage by, you said he didn't play against the Suns. I think that was like a rest game for him. Like, I don't think he was actually hurt in that game.
100% it was a rest game.
No, like, so that's good. Like, as long as he stays
he
healthy.
came back 2 days later and went 6 for 7 for threes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's hurt.
No.
But yeah, I think they gotta manage him properly and make sure he's 100% good to go for the playoffs. And if he is, the Warriors are a force to be reckoned with, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Warriors, the Rockets.
Yeah.
I'm off my game today. Sorry, folks.
It's all good.
Not as sharp. Because I don't have Haley here. I'm scared of her whenever I mess up. Because she'll ream me out.
So we got one more NBA story before we get to the power rankings we wanted to talk about. LeBron losing to the Knicks on a big block by Mario Hezonja at the buzzer.
Yeah.
It seems like this guy only comes to play when he's playing like the superstars. Like he averages 7 points a game this year, but he's dunked on Giannis, and then he blocked LeBron at the buzzer to win the game.
Yeah, that was funny. I honestly that name, man, I had no idea who the fuck that was.
He was a 5th overall pick like a few years ago.
Was he?
Yeah, it's like.
Who?
I exactly.
Sorry?
He played for the Magic up until this year.
Oh, wow.
That explains probably why you don't know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not really watching Orlando basketball too
No.
Unfortunately. Like I said, I like to watch the big teams play each other.
Yeah.
And I haven't been watching the Knicks too much either.
No.
I'll be watching the Knicks tonight, though, against the Raptors.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, dude, the Lakers are just a tire fire that keeps getting bigger, and people just keep pouring gas on it. And at this point, I think it's probably in their best interest to just tank.
I don't really know how far they could honestly fall at this point. I think they should just stick with what they're doing in terms of minute restriction on LeBron, make sure they're preserving his body for the years to come when everyone's healthy again.
They're 3 games ahead of Memphis, who's in 14th.
Really?
There's no way they're going to
They won't catch
down
the
to
Suns.
No. But Memphis is 28 and 42, whereas the Lakers are 31 and 39.
I mean, theoretically, they could get there. If
Easily they could get there.
If they keep playing
They've lost 3 in
Alex
a row right
Caruso
now.
and something Williams.
Yeah, I don't even know, man. But, well, I mean, they've sat both Ingram and Ball.
Well, yeah, Ingram's out for the season.
Yeah, those blood clots seem like
he treated it. They treated it, so like he's gonna make a full recovery, but he won't play again until next season.
Yeah, which is smart. That's not really.
Well, you don't mess with blood clots. That's Chris Bosh. Unfortunately, had to retire.
Yeah, that's what happened. I remember
which sucks because he was one of my favorite Raptors growing up, and then like I loved cheering, even when Miami was good. I like like cheering for Chris Bosh. Like I was really happy for him when he won. Like he stuck through the Raptors through some pretty bad years where. And honestly, like
he deserved it.
He deserved to like go to a winning situation. I understand why he didn't stick with the Raptors when like literally they were useless. They couldn't do anything. Like the one year they made it to the playoffs with him, he dragged them to the playoffs on like with everything he had, and then they got knocked out round 1 to the Nets.
Yeah, those blood clots are not something to mess with. I'm glad he got treatment. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he got surgery on his arm for it.
Good, because I like Brandon Ingram, man.
I do too.
He's a 2nd overall pick. He's young. He's good. And
he's gonna be good for a long time in this league.
It's crazy to think that man is a year older than me.
Yeah,
Brandon Ingram is a year older than me.
It's weirder to think that Zion Williamson is
a year younger.
Almost, or I think he's a full half year younger than me.
Yeah, he'll be a year and a half younger than me, and that's insane.
So weird.
Can't really get over that, but that's nothing you can do about that. Nothing you can do about the Lakers.
No, you know what? They should probably just admit their season's over. They've already admitted their season's over. Just make sure you keep LeBron
lottery
healthy.
chances, NBA lottery chances, because I feel like it goes down or it goes up a lot if you go from the 11th seed to the 14th seed. Like, because if they could odds at number 1 pick, so they would probably be 3 or 4 if they dropped to 14.
So right now they're team 12, right? Their chances would go up by 0.5% if they got to 11.
No, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the odds for the number 1 pick. Team 12.
Team 1 would be like the
Team
Knicks.
1 is... Okay, so Team 1, 2, and 3 all have the same odds at 14%.
Yeah. So they'd be either 3 or 4 if they dropped to 14 because they'd be bottom 4
seriously?
teams in the league.
Really?
It's bottom.
Aren't there worse teams in the East than them?
Well, yeah, the Knicks and
Just the Knicks.
The
Is it just the
Bulls.
Knicks?
Are the Bulls worse? Here, let me
The
pull up
Bulls
the
are
standings.
definitely worse.
Bulls are worse than Cavs are worse.
Yeah, so they'd be 5, I think. Then they have a 10-point foot. I mean, that's honestly... See, I can't think of a team more undeserving of Zion Williamson, except maybe, like, the Cavs. But,
I would love to see Zion go to the Lakers.
See,
And
that
then
would just make me
they
happy
trade for AD.
See, that would make me happy just because, like, the Knicks fans are currently in their pipe dream of they think they're getting Zion, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant. How funny would it be if they didn't get Zion, and then Kyrie Irving goes to the Lakers, and then just Kevin Durant just says, you know what, I'm going to the Nets, the better New York team, and the Knicks are just still terrible. That would be hilarious.
Traded their best player too.
Kristaps. They literally freed up the
Porzingis
max
is
slot.
Gonzo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really sad. But like, if any team could have that happen to them, it would be the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks are just perpetually like a sorry franchise.
But yeah, no. Jumping back to the Lakers for a second, like as of right now, they're 11th in the. Here, you know what? Can I not do a full league? No, I can't do a full league view. That's stupid. But yes, they're 11th in the West. So let's say that puts them at, they'd be somewhere between Team 9 and Team 14. So there's like 4.5% chance, best case scenario. So their probability jumps 8% if they drop to Team 4. That is a lot of percent. I think it's worth it for them to just bench LeBron and just like tank. Why not? At this point, your season's done. You're not making the playoffs.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And you have a chance to literally get the next LeBron lined up to LeBron.
Yeah, there are currently 5, or I think there are 8 teams that are worse than them right now.
Yeah. So that would put them at Team 9 at 4.5.
Yeah.
So, like, why not?
Yeah, it's definitely worth considering. Like, I think that's just has to come down to the front office's decision.
Magic Johnson, if you're listening to this,
Just send this down to
buddy.
Magic. Genie Bus, fire Luke Walton, and find a coach who's willing to tank for you.
honestly. What do you think of Luke Walton?
He seems like kind of a weird dude. He seems like
He was not a good player.
No, he was not a good player.
Not a good player
but
at all.
Dude, you don't have to be a good player to be a good coach. Some of the best coaches of all time aren't players, or they
Remember
weren't.
when Wayne Gretzky tried to coach and the
Yeah.
Arizona Coyotes were Phoenix at the time?
And then when he tried to be a GM and then also sucked because he was... Who would have guessed the greatest, or arguably the greatest hockey player of all time?
Arguably.
I mean, I think he's the greatest, but I think you can make an argument for a guy like Lemieux or Crosby.
That's a talking point for another time because that'll...
Anyways, he couldn't evaluate talent very well to draft players, which is crazy. You know, you think the best player of all time would be able to do that.
Evidently not.
No, but yeah, no. I don't know. He seems like he doesn't really give a crap too much when the Lakers team probably could have used somebody who gave a crap this season.
Do you know who I'd love to see attempt coaching?
Who?
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash. What a beauty. I love
just a good Canadian kid.
Good Canadian boy.
Good Canadian kid.
Oh, Mr. Don.
I would actually love to see that. I'm sure he'd be good.
Yeah, well, he's such a smart player, right? Like the players who don't rely on their skill, like a lot of the talents who are just like rely on their like basketball IQ, their intellect, like those are the kind of people that would make good coach. Like
Because
guys like
understand
a
where
Chris
guys need to
Paul,
go.
a Ray John Rondo, a LeBron James. Like those are the kind of players who would be like good theoretical coaches, right? Because they're just smart and they know the game.
Or like a Ray Allen.
Or exactly
Ray Allen being
over
very
somebody
good.
like what's it called? Like Paul Pierce, for example, was like a phenomenal talent, but nobody would ever say he was like a high IQ player.
No, he was
he was a baller.
Yeah.
He was just a baller at that. Like, or somebody like let's say like even like a Kawhi Leonard, like he's a phenomenal basketball player. Would anyone say he's a high IQ basketball player?
No.
Necessarily? No. I think Kyle Lowry might be a high IQ basketball player if you're going to talk about anyone on the Raptors,
It's
for
more
example.
pure skill.
Exactly, right?
It's pure skill, and that's not a knock on Kawhi.
No,
whatsoever.
that's not. It's just
Kawhi is,
for coaching purposes.
rather than going to where he needs to be to have someone get him the ball, Kawhi gets the ball, then goes to where he needs to be.
Exactly. And then there are tons of players in the league who they don't need to be integrated into the offense because you can just, if you give them the ball, they can get their offense. They don't need you to set up their shot. Exactly, right? Or even LeBron. Like, LeBron doesn't need a system for him to score.
Yeah.
He'll score no matter what.
The system for LeBron and Kobe was get them the ball and just watch.
Exactly. Or even with Kawhi sometimes. Like, you see the Raptors at points this season where they're like, okay, we need a score, throw it to Kawhi, and then he makes some insane contested mid-range shot. And you're just like, what just happened? Or he gets to the free throw line, or he drives hard and scores somehow. And you're just like, wow, I'm not used to watching a player do all these hard, like insanely hard-looking shots and actually make them. Like, it feels weird. Not used to that as a Raptors fan.
I feel that. I do feel that.
Do we want to talk about the power rankings that were?
We
just
can go
released?
through the power rankings. Yeah. So we'll go in order first. We can do top 6.
Let's do top 6, then we can move on to some other topics.
Sixers, Nuggets, Raptors, Rockets, Bucks, Warriors. And yes,
Sixers are first?
Sixers are 6th.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I was confused for a second. I'm like, how are the Sixers and Nuggets rated above the
Sixers are 6. Denver's 5. Toronto's 4. Houston's 3. Milwaukee 2. Golden State 1.
Okay.
And yes, that's true. Golden State has passed Milwaukee for the first time this season in the power rankings.
All right. Okay. Okay, why don't we do...
we'll start with the Sixers.
We can alternate. Like, you can talk about why you think a team is where they are and if you think they should deserve to be higher or lower. Something like that. So you can do 6, 4, and 2, and I'll do 5, 3, and 1.
Okay. So we'll start with the Sixers at 6. I've said it a couple times, but I really like the Sixers. As a Raptors fan, it's tough to say, but love Ben Simmons, love Joel Embiid.
I love Joel Embiid.
Jimmy Buckets is just like, he's one of those guys that I've been like, watching him just piss so many people off is one of my favorite things in the world.
It's
because
so
like
funny.
He doesn't really do anything wrong, but like people just hate on him so hard.
Oh, people despise Joel.
Yeah, and like I've said it multiple times, but I think JJ Redick, again, one of the most underrated players in the league. Yeah. I love his tattoos too, man. He's fucking.
He's tatted up.
Those tats are great. And Tobias Harris as well, amazing player. Recently traded, but again, like I think that they have a very strong lineup. I think they're a force to be reckoned with. Since Joel Embiid's return, he had left knee soreness. He missed 8 games. Since his return, they're 4-0. Which is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And last week they were ranked to 7, so they're up to 6 now. I think I would argue that they could jump above the Nuggets, go to 5, but I can't see them surpassing any other team as of yet. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see next week, but I think, especially after that performance by them against the Bucks, especially the performance by Embiid. Yes, it is.
Okay, just checking.
Oh, thank you for interrupting my spiel to ask me about the sticker.
Yes, that was an important question.
It was, but yeah, I think the Sixers are a force to be reckoned with. I think they've climbed their way back up to the 3 seed, and good for them. I feel like that's where they belong. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the playoffs play out, because as of right now, they're going up against the Pistons. So that'd be an interesting game to watch. That'd be an interesting series to watch.
Yeah, I think I'd probably love watching that series because nothing like makes me more like just feel more joy than watching Andre Drummond get clowned by like centers who are better than him. It's like Joel Embiid.
He's so bad. He's
terrible. How jokes was it? Like, this was my favorite Jonas Valanciunas thing, is how badly he clowned Drummond every time they play.
Always.
It was so funny. Like,
everyone like I'm sorry for being vulgar, but people suck Drummond's dick like way too much.
Well, he's he's a phenomenal athlete. He can get rebounds like crazy. But like any center who's like actually like his size and is like equally or even like slightly less competent at getting rebounds just manhandles him.
Yeah.
And he can't shoot free throws. And if you have a center that's even like too small and too quick for him, then what's he gonna do? Like because his kind of center is like sort of getting phased out.
The second you shut down. Sorry, why am I'm losing my train of thought? The second you shut down Blake Griffin.
Oh, the Pistons are done.
They're nothing. Like who's their second scoring option?
I think it's Reggie Jackson.
Yeah,
which is hilarious. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd go Reggie Jackson, then I'd say Andre Drummond,
yeah.
And then literally maybe Langston Galloway.
They have a lot of. See, yeah, I don't. That's why I don't buy them as a real playoff threat to any team. It's just but beyond Blake Griffin, they don't really have a consistent scoring.
Blake Griffin has just been an absolute beast.
He's been amazing this year. Full credit to him for evolving his game. He used to just kind of be a one-dimensional dunker. Full credit to him for evolving his game, getting a 3-point shot, adding a really good post-up game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no.
But yeah, back to the Sixers for a second.
Yep.
I think to wrap it all up, what I would say is they are very, very deep. They're a very deep team. They describe exactly what I mentioned a couple weeks ago in saying that you need many household names on your team to compete for the NBA championship, and they have exactly that. They have a very strong starting lineup who can all play big minutes, and I think they're a force to be reckoned with. They're probably going to clown the Pistons in the first round.
Absolutely.
If the standings stay the way they are, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from there.
Yeah, I guess moving on to Nuggets are at 5.
Yep.
So I think this is a pretty deserving ranking for the Nuggets. They've been a really tough team all season. They've been fantastic on home court. I think they have the best home record in the league. Actually, I think they're 30-6 at home. Everybody always likes to talk about the altitude being an advantage, but they're also just like a phenomenal team. They've got an arguable an MVP candidate, Nikola Jokic. Mm-hmm. One of the most skilled big men the league has ever seen. Just in terms, he
came out of nowhere too.
He was a second-round pick in 2014, and now he's like an MVP.
Yeah,
he just runs that team. They've got a bunch of players who know their roles, who have tons of skill. They've got Jamal Murray, a good Canadian. They have
Isaiah Thomas,
who's unfortunately fallen out of the rotation, but I'm rooting for him to get back to it.
Someone who's been
Gary Harris.
Someone who's been underrated as well as Millsap.
Paul Millsap. Well, last year, their defense really struggled when Millsap was out, which he spent a lot of last year hurt. But when he was in the lineup, their defense was very formidable. Mm-hmm. And that's a big reason why they've been so good again this year. Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, Will Barton. They've just got a lot of good pieces. Juancho Hernan-Gomez off the bench. They've just got a good team. They've got good depth. They play the right way. Mike Malone's really got them to buy in and play hard as a team together. Right now, they'd be matching up against the Jazz in the first round, so I think that's a good matchup for them. I think they'd be hard.
Murray doesn't swear at a fan.
Yeah, I think that the Nuggets would be posed to make it to at least the Western Conference Finals. I think is their peak. I don't see them being a legitimate Finals candidate just because. Because I don't think Jokic hasn't proven that he can get them a bucket whenever they need a bucket yet. And the teams usually that go on to win will have at least one guy who, if you give him the ball, he can get you a bucket. Which I don't think the Nuggets have a player like that. Jokic runs an offense phenomenally, but I don't think he's... the Nuggets very much remind me of the Raptors teams of the past few years, where it's a very good unit, but when it came down to it, they didn't have any one guy who could just get you a bucket when you needed it.
And that's the other thing is the reason why they're doing so well right now is because their bench is so deep.
Yeah,
they have a very underrated deep bench. Even guys like Vanderbilt, they have a very deep bench that you don't really see too often in the NBA. And that's great and all for the regular season because it keeps your guys fresh, it keeps them up to date, and it keeps them constantly going. But once it comes down to the playoffs and once guys are playing 40-minute
Rotation
games, like,
shortened.
there's like literally zero rotation. Like the bench is not seeing that much. Like your stars need to be playing 45 minutes.
Exactly.
And like once it gets down to that, and let's say Millsap is guarding Harden. Like Paul Millsap is very good, but
James Harden.
James Harden is James Harden, man.
One of the best offensive talents this league has ever seen, and probably will ever see.
Yeah, he's unprecedented.
I saw some, just going off topic of the power rankings, I saw something hilarious yesterday.
Yeah.
Is isolation points per game by NBA players. So fifth, I think, was Paul George at like 4. Kawhi Leonard and I think Blake Griffin were tied at like 4.3. And then it was like LeBron at 4.4, like points per game, and then James Harden at like 18.2. Isolation, like points a game, like no assists, like that's absolutely insane.
Well,
that's stupid. Half of his points are coming from isolation situations. Like how crazy?
It's crazy to think because like even we're gonna get to the Rockets because the Rockets are in these power rankings, but like I was watching the Rockets Warriors game, and that was just an absolute shootout.
Yeah,
that can't be unprecedented how insanely good those guys were playing. Every single time they were coming down the court, it was either James Harden, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, or Steph Curry just making a bucket.
Yeah,
like easy money. But you could tell like even just the way the Rockets play, their play style is get Harden the ball, get open.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But yeah, we'll jump back to the Nuggets.
Yeah, so the Nuggets. So my final thoughts about them is I think they're deserving of their ranking. I think they could fall. I don't see them growing though. I don't see them having much room to grow in the power rankings, and I think they peak as like second round, maybe Western Conference Finals. I don't see them as a finals candidate or threat though.
Exactly. I don't.
I like them a lot though. I think they're going to be my dark horse team in the West this year.
I wouldn't put them as a dark horse. I'd give them a chance to like shine. I mean, they're second. They're the 2 seed right now.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really make a 2 seed your dark horse.
Yeah, but I mean, I think everybody thinks like more highly of probably the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Warriors than they do of the Nuggets. Even though the
Thunders
Nuggets
have fallen.
The Thunder, they're on a bit of a negative streak right now, but I still think everyone knows when the playoffs come around. Paul George, Westbrook, Steven Adams, like that team is a threat.
Hot take: my dark horse is the Spurs.
The Spurs,
The Spurs. I'm putting my money on my boy DeMar.
I can't bet on a team that has no 3-point shooting, man. Like it's just like it's literally like their top 3 like scorers are just like all dudes who just live in the mid range.
Yeah, like with DeMar, LaMarcus, and
Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay as well, right?
Like they live in the mid range.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. We can go down to number
4.
Number 4. We'll split this one because I know you'd like to talk about it a little bit. The North, Toronto Raptors. Current record is 49-21.
Yep.
They're saying here that their odds of catching the Bucks for the East top seeds are slim because they have a 4-4 start to March. But I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens. They got beat by the Pistons and they got beat by the Cavs, which sucks.
Yeah. Never fun to lose those games.
No, it's never fun. And I really think that I'm not going to be concerned.
No.
Per se, like I'm not gonna think like, oh no, like well, I mean we've clinched obviously.
Yo, we're in the playoffs.
Like I don't think we're dropping out of the 2 seed, but like if we lose to the Knicks tonight, I think that's cause for concern.
Well, yeah, you just be a bit worried,
that,
like you know, you just need the guys to find motivation when even when there's not a lot to be found.
Yeah, and so we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But in terms of the Raptors as a whole, I really like the team. I think I've been seeing some really good stuff from most of our players. Someone that I was very, very impressed with was Marc Gasol in in the game against the Lakers.
Yeah.
Marc Gasol looked very good. But the reason why, which was very interesting, and they kept talking about this during the broadcast, was that Norman Powell was really enabling Marc Gasol.
Well, he's
and like vice versa.
He's really good at playing within the offense and playing off the ball. Like Norman Powell, I think a lot of his struggles last year was when he was trying to do too much. He was trying to do too much of the creating himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this year he's really sort of fallen back into, okay, I can run around, like I'm really good off the ball, and he makes a lot of good cuts. And Marc Gasol is one of the best high post players in the league, and he's a great passer, especially for a big man. So I think he really is able to find like the guys who are cutting and finding those lanes. So him and Norman Powell have really established some chemistry. Another reason why I've loved the Marc Gasol addition is since they acquired Marc Gasol, the Raptors are 4th in defensive efficiency this year. So in defensive net rating, the defensive powerhouse we all expected the Raptors to be this season. Their assist rate spiked about like 12% since they've added Marc Gasol, which is just absolute. They've gone from 20. They've gone from the 20s to like 3rd in assist like percentage, which is amazing because like they needed another guy like a Kyle Lowry who will space the floor for them and really like moves the ball around, and Marc Gasol is really that piece that's just been excellent.
And the thing with Marc Gasol too is everyone is constantly just like kind of bashing on the JV trade.
Yeah.
And the reason their reasoning behind it is, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure JV's averaging like 20 points a game with the Grizzlies right now.
Oh yeah,
he's doing amazing, right? But that's because
he's playing for a lottery team that has nothing to lose.
Yeah, and he's like their second scoring option.
He's playing like I'd say he's arguably their first because he's a phenomenal scorer. Like you got to give Jonas Valanciunas credit. He has always been a good scorer, and he's always been an efficient scorer. So when he gets big minutes,
who else is on the Grizzlies other than
Mike
Conley? Doesn't Joakim Noah play for them now?
Yeah, he does.
Joakim Noah plays for them now.
You see his step back three? He's like the weirdest release in the league. It actually annoys me watching his shot.
What's his name? Parsons.
Chandler Parsons, the worst contract in the NBA.
Like it's just they're not good, right? So like,
no, I'm not. I don't put stock into him putting up huge numbers.
No, not at all. And
even though I love my boy JV,
bring it back to the Raptors for a second though. I think some good thoughts on them is that they play as a team and it tells. You can tell, right? And the other thing is their system is it's phenomenal. They have a phenomenal system. Nick Nurse has built something amazing. And
especially with the injuries they've had this year.
Yeah, and the number one way to test that, I think, and prove that is how Jeremy Lin has been looking.
Yeah.
Because Jeremy Lin was just slotted in the Fred VanVleet spot. Because as soon as he was acquired, Fred VanVleet was hurt. And he looked like he didn't miss a step.
Yeah, like even with a bit of his shooting woes, like he's been really solid defensively. And he does a good job of just like sort of trying to fit in. Like there are times where he's trying to do a bit too much, but I still think like now that Van Vliet's back, I'll have more room to just sort of have less of the offensive load on him. I think his percentages are going to go up again. I think his shooting will start to find its way.
His shooting has him in the best.
An encouraging sign is he's made a 3 in 5 straight games now, which is good considering in his first
except for the last 3 he's made 1 per game.
Last 5 is 1 per game. Like that's a lot better than his first 9 games with the Raptors where he made a total of 0 threes.
Yeah, 1 for 5 against the Cavs, 1 for 5 against the Lakers, and then 1 for 2 against the Pistons. It's not the best look, but I still think he doesn't look like he missed a step, and he doesn't look like a liability.
No, offensively, obviously there's room for improvement. I think that'll come when the team is just all healthy and back together. And there's more just the units have been more established. But right now, I think he's done fine for what he's been expected to do, especially just filling in for Van Vliet when he was out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a reasonable. I like him where he is as either a third point guard or a shooting guard on the bench unit.
Yeah. What do you? I was actually going to ask you. What do you think happens now that Van Vliet is back?
See, do they split touches or what? Okay, when Kyle Lowry comes back in, what I want ideally is a Lowry, Green, Leonard, Siakam, Gasol starting lineup, and then I like Van Vliet, Powell, Anunoby, Van Vliet, Lynn, Powell, Anunoby, Ibaka. In terms of, so that's like the bench sort of five that plays. And then when it comes to the playoffs, I think you shorten that rotation to about. I think you either cut Lynn out of the rotation come playoff time, or you cut Powell or Anunoby, depending on which of those guys is like performing the worst.
I think it's really important for during the playoffs to be running Siakam, Ibaka, and Gasol on the same rotation as much as possible, having that big body presence out there, and then accompanying them with Kyle and Kawhi.
Yeah, the one thing I don't with them is like they haven't in their limited minutes together. They haven't played amazingly, but I still think like there's definitely room for it to happen in the playoffs. Like if you need to go big against somebody, just to sort of switch things up. But I like Ibaka at the center. I don't like him at the power forward as much, just because he's faster than most centers, but he's not faster than a lot of the power forwards in the league, which is why I think he's been so good in that switch in the move to center this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. So sort of going back to you. So like, do you think the Raptors are sort of they have room to grow? Do you think what do you think their ceiling is this year? That sort of thing.
I think it depends.
Finish it off.
I think it depends on how these this final stretch really goes, because they can kind of approach it one of two ways. They can go head on, light a fire under their ass, and like try and take over that one seed, which is feasible, but that would require using all your manpower and playing Kawhi as much as you can and getting wins, right?
Yeah.
Using all your players to get wins. There's also the latter, which is they take the time to chill. They sorry, losing my train of thought here. They take time to chill. They rest their better guys. They hang out. They just kind of coast until the playoffs. Maybe go 500, depending on their schedule. I haven't had a chance to really look deep into it. But in that sense, I don't think there was. In that sense, I don't think. What's going on? Hello.
We have an entry here. Inside.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, we can finish up.
Yeah. We'll finish up our thoughts right now.
All right, let's do a quick rundown of the last three teams.
Last three teams. Houston Rockets. We're getting kicked out, by the way. Houston Rockets. James Harden is amazing. We talked about the Rockets earlier. Chris Paul. As long as he can keep it up, we'll be good to go.
Yeah, Capella's a fantastic rim protector. I think they're a threat to go to the finals this year.
I'd love to see it.
Yep. Who's next?
Number 2 is Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee should be 1. I think this is bullshit.
Yeah, I think they're one of the best teams in the league.
I think ESPN needs to stop.
They're a finals threat. They're definitely the team I'm most worried about facing the Raptors. And Giannis is an MVP.
Giannis should be MVP, in my opinion. The guy is amazing. As great as Harden is, as great as Paul George has been, as great as Jokic has been.
Giannis.
Look at that turnaround for team. Like he's like carried that team 100%. And Golden State. Teams just need to understand that Boogie Cousins is not good on defense, and if you set a pick and roll with Boogie Cousins, Steph Curry, you will get as many points on Golden State as you like.
That's a fact.
It is a very easy fact.
They're more vulnerable they look than in years past, but I still think they're the team to beat, because obviously until somebody beats them, they're two-time champions. They're going for the three-peat.
They are. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but I would really, really prefer to see fresh faces.
Yeah.
We'll skip stars of the week. We'll sign off by saying thank you for joining the SML Sidelines podcast. Strictly basketball edition. We kind of went off on basketball. Haley's not going to be too pleased about that.
Don't worry. Next week we'll make up for it by covering the other topics we were supposed to cover.
Yes, we will. Have a good day, everyone. Cheers.